Good afternoon. Welcome to week 2 of EDUC 8023. So today I'm going to go over the assignments for this week, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the content. Okay, so let's get right into this. I'm going to start with going over what is due. So let me go here to open up a window here. Here we go. Sorry, it's taken me a bit to get my screens to work here. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here to the beginning of the module. So the first thing is we're going to look at the objectives and going to go to module 2. It's on philosophical foundations of curriculum and instruction. So there are 3, well, first of all, we're going to go to the objectives, what we're trying to learn here. We want, on a lower level of thinking, on that comprehension, we want you to be able to describe and differentiate key philosophical foundations. So you need to understand what is perennialism, essentialism, progressivism, so forth. I want you to critically analyze, how does a philosophical belief influence curriculum design? Because it does. If you are, for example, have an essentialist philosophy of education, how you design curriculum is going to be very different. I'd like you to be able to evaluate educational reforms and curriculum models through that philosophical lens. So you need to be able to say, how's my philosophy, or how is philosophy impacting this curriculum reform? You guys have seen it, the last, just politically, depending on if it's left or right leaning, that philosophy impacts curriculum directly. That's one of the reasons I wanted to get a doctorate in curriculum and instruction, because I wanted, as a Christian educator, to have influence on the curriculum design. We want you to examine the implications of philosophical perspectives on teaching roles and learning and student outcomes. Apply a philosophical framework to a current or historical curriculum initiative. And then we want you to be able to support your ideas and arguments with scholarly research. You have 3 things you're going to read. The first thing you're going to do is, in your textbook, you're going to read chapter 2. Guess what? That is on philosophical foundations. So read chapter 2 in your textbook. You then have 2 articles you're going to read. The first one is Why What Works Still Won't Work. This is from, if you, those of you who've done research, you know that What Works is a What Works clearinghouse, and that has a lot, it has various curriculum, and it looks at the research behind that and says, does it work, does it not? And many times school districts will have to go to What Works to ensure that it meets those research qualifications and standards before curriculum can be purchased. Then we also have another book, another article, and it is, I don't know why it didn't switch when I did, but let me try again. It is an article called The Impact of Teachers' Educational Philosophy, Tendencies on Their Curriculum Autonomy. So this is all about, does educational philosophy impact curriculum autonomy? And so I wanted you to read something so you can see that when you work on your dissertation, you could actually research, does philosophy impact curriculum? Don't know if you're interested in that or not. So we're going to get back. So that's what you're reading. So now I would like to go over your 2 assignments. So the first assignment is, you have a discussion post. In this discussion post, you need to choose a short video clip from a film, television show, commercial, or documentary that illustrates a philosophical belief in education. Okay, I didn't put education, but in education. So is it essentialism, progressivism? You need to post that video clip. It can be the link. And then I want you to discuss in your link, what's the philosophical orientation that's represented? Does the scene show, what does it show about teaching and learning? And how might this philosophy influence curriculum? You need to share your video response, include a link. Then you need to respond to at least 2 peers by commenting on theirs. So your initial post is due Saturday. Your responses are due Tuesday. Now, I have a little example I want to show you from one of my favorite favorite movies. If you have not seen it, Dead Poets Society. And I'm going to fast forward it a little bit. We might not watch the whole thing, but I'm going to fast forward it. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I think I've illustrated the point here. And when you guys show yours, you don't have to show the whole thing, but part of it. So there, I can see this is very much, I believe, illustrates progressivism. We see that Robin Williams in this scene, and if you have not watched Dead Poets Society, watch it. It's so good, sad but good. He wasn't really aligning himself with a more essentialism, which is a very conservative, a very where there's a set right, wrong, set way of doing things. He was really trying to do progressivism, getting the students to think for themselves. Okay. That's just an example of a video clip. You can see what the teacher valued in that video. He did not value that you could understand poetry through a calculation. He was trying to get the students to evaluate poetry or think about poetry from a more aesthetic perspective. So that's what you will be doing for your discussion post. I hope it'll be fun, not too difficult. Your other assignment is you have a curriculum brief. So this is going to be a paper that's going to be about 4 to 5 pages long. You're going to need a title page and references. So if you exclude the title page and the references, it's probably going to be about 4 pages long, maybe 3. So 4 to 5 pages would be including your title page and your references. So what are you going to do? Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to think about a reform initiative. Hopefully it's something that you're using in your current school. Okay. So of course, in the United States, we did Common Core. That's huge. Think about the Common Core. What is the philosophical base of the Common Core? Why? Why do we do that? What about Florida's best standards? Read Florida. I just put different things down here. Next generation science standards. In where I live in Polk County, Florida, gosh, now I can't think of the reading programs, a corrective reading type program. You could think about something like that. So I want you to think about a curriculum initiative that you're familiar with. Okay, so I just gave you some examples. If you want to email me and say, hey, is this okay? You can, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Then I want you to identify and explain the educational philosophies that underline that reform. Okay, so in the United States, we've really kind of shifted a little bit. We've gone from kind of essentialism, and even the Common Core is very much even kind of essentialism, because it's a common understanding of curriculum. It's the same for everybody. So I want you to think about, what is the philosophical underpinning of that curriculum initiative? Then I want you to think about, what's the theoretical framework of that initiative? And you need to have at least 5 peer-reviewed sources to support your analysis. So example, the science of reading is huge. My area of expertise is literacy. If you're in education, you're going to read, here, science of reading, science of reading, science of reading, right? What is the theoretical framework? And so a lot of our reading programs, for example, I use a program called UFLY, University of Florida Literacy Institute. That would be something that you could use. What is the philosophical underpinning of that? That would be the first part. And then you need, what is the empirical research behind that? For the science of reading, a lot of the empirical research has to do with the simple view of reading, Scarborough's reading rope, how the brain learns to read. That's the theoretical underpinning of it. I would want to have at least 5 peer-reviewed sources to explain my position. Now, that doesn't mean I want 5 separate paragraphs where you say, this research says this research says this. At the doctoral level, you're synthesizing, you're not summarizing. So synthesis is you reading various research and then saying, have at least 5 peer-reviewed sources. How do this research support this view of this theoretical framework? Then evaluate how well the reform connects theory to implementation. So in other words, consider the implementation. You have this theory, right? So you have the science of reading, right? What does it look like in practice? So many times we have curriculum initiatives and it has a certain theory to it, but what does it actually look like in implementation? Those of you that were boots on the ground, it's like, okay, in theory, that sounds really good, but what are the practical implications of it? I'm going to give you an example. So when I worked in Kentucky, we did a lot of the Kentucky writing portfolio. Many states did a writing portfolio for years. That really does have a philosophical underpinning, right? We want students, I would say, progressivism, where students are constructing information. But when we got to, sorry, my time's up, but the actual implementation of it had some problems. And a lot of it was with scoring, fidelity of scoring, and so forth. So I want you to think about whatever the curriculum initiative it is. Okay, what does that look like in practice? And then what are the practical implementations? Discuss the potential or observed impact on teacher instruction, student learning, and so forth. You need to use APA. You need to have 5 peer-reviewed sources. And I always have a rubric. Okay, so you should look at your rubric. And I'm going to go here and look at my rubric. And the rubric is, okay, so you clearly identify and explain your philosophical foundations of this curriculum initiative. You have your peer-reviewed research. You evaluated the reform. You connected it to theory and practice. You have an insightful reflection on the implications for teachers and students. I go to that writing portfolio. What were the implications for teachers? The implication was There was a lot of scoring, wasn't there? And there was also a lot of needed calibration. Is everyone scoring it correctly? You need to have your 5 resources, scholarly resources, and then we want it to be clear, organized flow, graduate level academic tone, APA. Okay, so that is this week. This is what we're going to be doing this week, looking at how does philosophy impact curriculum and instruction. I can go into a classroom and kind of see the person's philosophical bent based on mantras that they have posted, what they emphasize, and what they think is important. Really shows one's philosophy. And so I want you guys to just understand that when we as Christian educators, we do have a philosophy, and it's a Christian philosophy, right? So our Christian philosophy will impact the curriculum we design, curriculum that we choose. So philosophy can have a Christian worldview or a non-Christian worldview. And we've seen that in the United States. We've seen curriculum that has a non-Christian worldview and others that has a more Christian worldview. So that's what we're looking at today. 2 assignments. I think the discussion post won't be too bad. It should be, hopefully, be interesting to do. Hopefully you can have some newer movies and video clips and so forth. And then the second one will be your first big, kind of writing assignment where you're going to be really examining a curriculum reform initiative. So that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. I may not be dressed in a little suit like this. It's first day of school every day, but you got to see me one day. That's it. Have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions, let me know. Don't forget on Thursdays, I do have the voluntary office hours. I sent you guys information about that, where you can come in anytime. I'm trying to remember when it is. I think it's Thursday at 6:30. So if you want to do that, you are more than happy to do that. And I guess that's it. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will see everybody. Sorry, I lost my screen. Hopefully, I will see everybody online next week. Bye-bye.